Good afternoon, all. In the last lecture, we were discussing about the plant introduction and acclimatization. Okay, plant introduction and acclimatization. It is the first method of the crop improvement. Okay, in the last lecture, we were discussing about the plant introduction and acclimatization, which is the first method of crop improvement, which is used all over the world. Plant introduction, it is nothing but the process of introducing the plants from their original locality to the new locality. That means the plants are transferred from one country to the another country having the different environmental condition. Okay, acclimatization, it follows the plant introduction. Then there are four types of the plant introduction. The first one intercontinental, second one intracontinental, third one interstate, and the fourth one intrastate, which is also referred as the inter district. Okay, then also we have discussed in detail the purpose of plant introduction. Okay, for example, number one is for use in agriculture, forestry, and industry. Number two, for studying origin, distribution, classification, and evolution. And number three, for fulfillment of aesthetic interest. And the last one, the plants are introduced for the genetic improvement of the economical crops. These are the different purposes of the plant introduction, which we have discussed in detail in the last lecture. Then the different agencies of the plant introduction we have discussed. In the past, the plant introduction, it was carried out in unscientific manner, in unscientific and scattered manner. Okay, but later on the agencies was established in India, like the Botanical Survey of India, Forest Research Institute India, which is situated in Dehradun, and later on in the 1976 one department was established in the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, New Delhi, and that department was National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources. Okay, and as per the law, all the plant introductions in the India must be or should be routed through the NBPR. Okay, Plant National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources. Okay, we have discussed regarding the role of the different institutes in the plant introductions. Okay, then we were discussing about the procedure of plant introduction. Plant introduction, it is a very difficult task. Okay, plant introduction, it is carried out in the five different stages. In this one, the first one is the procurement of germplasm. Germplasm, or we can say the procurement of the plant or the procurement of the plant material. Okay, procurement means that is to obtain the plant material. Okay, the first step, how to obtain the plant material from the another country. Okay, or the different ways to obtain the plant material from the other countries. Okay, the first step is procurement of germplasm or the plant material. Second one, quarantine. Then third one, cataloging. Then fourth one, germplasm evaluation. Then multiplication and distribution. Okay, that is the last step in the procedure of plant introduction. Plant introduction, it is carried out in five steps. The first one is procurement of germplasm, second one quarantine, third one cataloging, then germplasm evaluation, and the fourth one multiplication and the distribution. Okay, we will see one by one. In this one, first step is procurement of plants or the germplasm. Okay, procurements of plant germplasm. Procurement means to obtain, the method to obtain the plant material from the other country. This is the first step in the plant introduction. Okay, here you can see the requisition for introduction of new plant or the new varieties should be submitted to the NBPGR. Okay, you should know that the procurement of plant material, there are two routes by which the plant material from can be introduced from the other country. Okay, there are two routes. The first route is the institution or the individual make the direct request to the individual who has the desired germ plasm. Okay, that means suppose you know a person or a institute in the foreign country which is having the that particular material which you want, and just you have to write a simple letter to that individual or that institute which is present in foreign country, but the copy of that letter should be sent National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources, so you can get the plant material easily. Okay, that is the best method. There are two ways by which plant material can be obtained from the other country. The first one, the institution or the individual make the direct request to the institution or individual which is present in the foreign country directly. Okay, but copy of that letter it should be sent to the NBPGR. Okay, that is the best method to obtain the plant material. But it sometime it is not possible to contact the person abroad. Then in that case you can make the direct request to the NBPGR, and the NBPGR will made avail make available that plant material to you. NBPGR will contact International Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources and will help you to obtain the plant material from the other country. Okay, but this second method, that is you make the direct request to the NBPGR, then NBPGR then write down a letter to the International Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources. It is a lengthy process. It is a time consuming process. The best way the institution or individual should write the letter directly to the institution or the individual abroad, which institution abroad having that particular plant material, and the copy of that letter it should be sent to the National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resources for the speedy introduction of the plant material. Okay, thus there are two ways by which the plant material can be obtained. Then the material it may be obtained on an exchange basis from the friendly countries. Okay, it can be obtained on an exchange basis from the friendly countries. Then the material can also be purchased if in national interest that plant material it is very important, then that plant material it can be also purchased or it can be obtained as a free gift from individuals or the organization. Okay, whenever the our politicians or our PM or the president, whenever they visit the other country, they may get the certain type of the plant material as a gift. Okay, these are the methods by which the plant material it is obtained from the other country. Okay, the material it may be obtained on the exchange basis from the friendly countries, or the material can also be purchased or obtained as a free gift from the individuals or the organization. Then another important factor in the procurement of plant is the type of material to be introduced. Type of the material it is to be introduced depends on individual requirement, crop species, interest, and the purpose. Type of material to be introduced depends on individual requirements. Individual requirement means what? Suppose that the plant material you require it for the to preserve it as a herbaria, or you wish to use that plant material in the museum, then it is important that the whole plant along with all plant parts must be introduced. Okay, whenever you wish to introduce the plant material for the herbaria or for the museum, then the whole plant along with the all plant parts should be introduced. Okay, but if you require the plant material to use in the hybridization, particularly in the hybridization, the pollen grains these are used for the pollination process. Okay, in that case there is no need to introduce the whole plant. Okay, in that case you can only introduce the pollen grains of that particular plant. Okay, there is no need to introduce the whole plant. Okay, in that case you can introduce only the pollen grains. Okay, suppose you are introducing the vegetatively propagated crop. Okay, then in that case also there is no need to introduce the whole plant, only that vegetatively propagating organ. For example, tubers or the runners, suckers, stolons or the bulbs. Okay, these can be introduced from the other country. Okay, then also if you wish to introduce the sexually reproducing plants, then in that case also there is no need to introduce the whole plant material, only the seeds can be introduced from the other country. Okay, then the easiest mean of the uh, introduction is to introduce the seeds. Okay, because the seeds, that is, these are very easy for packaging, and these are very easy for handling and for the transportation. Okay, seeds can be easily packaged, then they can be easily handled and transported. They can be easily treated with the different types of the chemicals to remove the different types of the insect pest and the diseases. But if the certain vegetatively propagated organs, these are introduced, then some amount of soil it may be attached to that vegetatively propagating organ, and to the soil the different types of the insect or the diseases or the pest, they may be present. Then that's why it is very difficult for the packaging, for the handling, and to give the treatment with the different types of the chemicals. Okay, therefore it is easiest to transport or to introduce the seeds from the other countries. Okay, that is all about the type of material to be introduced. Okay, the type of material to be introduced depends upon the individual requirement, for what purpose you are requiring that plant. Okay, if you require it to preserve that plant in the herbarium or museum, then the whole plant along with the whole plant parts must be introduced. Okay, but if you require it to use in the hybridization, then you should introduce only the pollen grains. Okay, and if the vegetatively propagated crop is to introduce from the other country, then simply you can introduce only the vegetatively propagated organs. Okay, that's why we are saying the type of material to be introduced depends upon the individual requirement. Then crop species, just we have discussed, if the crop it is sexually reproducing, then only you have to introduce the seeds of the crop. And if the crop is vegetatively propagating, then you can introduce only the vegetatively propagating organ. Then interest, and lastly the purpose. Okay, another important thing, the quality and quantity of the material to be introduced. Okay, the quality and the quantity of the material to be introduced depends upon the requirements of the workers. ओके, म्हणजे वर्कर्सची किंवा प्लांट बिल्डर्सची नीड काय आहे, त्याच्यावरती त्याचे क्वालिटी आणि क्वांटिटी ठरते. अँड अनदर इम्पॉर्टंट थिंग इज द फंड्स अँड फॅसिलिटीज अवेलेबल ॲट दॅट टाइम. ओके, त्यासाठी असणारे आवश्यक असणारे फंड्स फॅसिलिटीज किती आहेत ते सुद्धा एक महत्वाचा पार्ट असतो. Okay, that's why the quality and the quantity of the plant material to be introduced is completely depending upon the requirement of workers, funds and facilities available at that time. Okay, and lastly the plant material, it is packed carefully and then it is dispatched. Okay, that is the complete process of the procurement to obtain the plant material from the other country. Okay, this is the first step in the plant introduction. Then quarantine. Okay, all the students, that is these are aware about the terminology quarantine. Okay, माझ्या आतापर्यंत जेव्हा मी पेपर शिकवत होतो तेव्हा सगळ्यात पहिल्यांदा क्वारंटाईन म्हणजे काय, मला हे समजून सांगण्यामध्येच वेळ जात होता. पण यावर्षी मला ते वेळ जाणार नाही, की समजून सांगण्यामध्ये, की बाबा क्वारंटाईन म्हणजे काय. ओके, गेले जवळपास 8 ते 9 महिने हे शब्द इतका आपल्याला सगळ्यात जास्त ऐकलेला वर्ड कोणता आहे, तर तो आहे क्वारंटाईन. ओके, दॅट्स वाय देर इज नो नीड टू explain the term quarantine. Okay, quarantine means what? That is the plant material which is introduced from the other country. It may have the certain, it may be contaminated with the certain type of the insect, pest, or the diseases. Okay, the plant material which is introduced from the other country, it may be contaminated with the different types of the insect, pest, and the diseases, and that's why the plant material which is obtained, it is kept in isolation to prevent the spread of diseases. ओके, जे फॉरेन मधून जे प्लांट मटेरियल आलेलं आहे त्याच्यावरती कुठल्याही प्रकारचे इन्सेक्ट, पेस्ट आणि डिसीजेस हे असू शकतात. त्याच्यामुळे काय करतात, जेव्हा प्लांट मटेरियल इथं येतं, एअरपोर्टला असेल किंवा लँड रूटला असेल किंवा शिपच्या थ्रू येत असेल, तर ते काय करतात, त्या प्लांट मटेरियलला बाकीच्या प्लांट मटेरियल पासून एकदम वेगळं ठेवून टाकतात. Okay, to spread the diseases. Okay, the plant material which is introduced from the other country, it may be contaminated with the certain type of the insect, pest, and the diseases. And to prevent the spread of the diseases, that plant material, it is kept separately, and that process we call it as a quarantine. Okay, then that plant material, here in the photograph you can see, that is the scientist, it is observing the plant material whether it is contaminated with the insect, pest, or the diseases. Close scrutiny of the plant material is carried out. Okay, and if the plant material, it is found to be contaminated with the certain type of the insect, pest, and the diseases, then that plant material, it is treated with the certain type of the chemicals, that is the fumigation or the other chemical treatments are carried out if necessary. Okay, and even if the by giving the treatment of the different types of the chemicals and fumigation, the plant material is even containing the certain type of the insect, pest, or diseases, then at that time the plant material, it is completely destroyed or even returned back to that country. ओके, म्हणजे समजा या ट्रीटमेंट देऊन सुद्धा जर त्या प्लांट मटेरियल मध्ये हे इन्सेक्ट, पेस्ट आणि डिसीजेस असतील, तर काय, हे प्लांट मटेरियल डिस्ट्रॉय जातं, तुम्हाला ते दिलं जात नाही. ओके, ते कम्प्लिटली कंट्रोल्ड एन्व्हायरमेंटल कंडिशन मध्ये त्याला डिस्ट्रॉय केलं जातं, किंवा ज्या कंट्रीमधून ते आलेलं आहे त्या कंट्रीला ते परत तसंच वापस दिलं जातं. Okay, if the plant material, it is not having if it is not contaminated with the insect, pest, or diseases after the treatment with the different types of the chemicals, then a phytosanitary certificate is issued. Phytosanitary certificate is issued means what, that particular plant material, it is completely free from the certain type of the insect, pest, and the diseases. Okay, a phytosanitary certificate to that particular plant material, it is issued. Phytosanitary म्हणजे त्याच्यामध्ये कुठल्याही प्रकारचे इन्सेक्ट, पेस्ट आणि डिसीजेस नाहीत असं या सर्टिफिकेट मधून लक्षात येतं. ओके, देन अकॉर्डिंग टू डिस्ट्रक्टिव्ह इन्सेक्ट अँड पेस्ट ऍक्ट 1914, quarantine for different group of plant produce is carried out by the different agencies. Okay, there are different agencies or the different institutes which are working for the quarantine process. Then the quarantine and fumigation centers, these are established at 8 seaports, 7 airports, and at the entry point of the land routes. Okay, 7 land routes, the quarantine and the fumigation centers are established. ओके, म्हणजे इंडियामध्ये जवळपास 8 जे एअरपोर्ट आहेत, इंटरनॅशनल एअरपोर्ट, तिथं हे क्वारंटाईन आणि फ्युमिगेशन सेंटर आहेत. 8 सी पोर्ट्स आहेत, सॉरी, 7 एअरपोर्ट्स आहेत. ओके, आणि 7 लँड रूट्स म्हणजे जे आपले जे नेबरिंग कंट्रीज आहेत, म्हणजे फॉर एक्झाम्पल पाकिस्तान, बांगलादेश, नेपाळ, भूतान. ओके, पुन्हा चायना इथून लँड रूट्सनं जर समजा कुठले प्लांट मटेरियल येत असतील, तर तिथं ते काय तर क्वारंटाईन आणि फ्युमिगेशन सेंटर्स हे एस्टॅब्लिश केलेले आहेत. आणि सी पोर्ट, ओके, सी पोर्ट कुठे कुठे आहेत, तर कोइंबतूरला एक आहे, मुंबईला आहे, चेन्नईला आहे. ओके, असे जवळपास 8 सी पोर्ट्सला ते एस्टॅब्लिश्ड केलेले आहेत. क्वारंटाईन अँड फ्युमिगेशन सेंटर्स आर एस्टॅब्लिश्ड ॲट 8 seaports, 7 airports, and 7 land routes. Okay, that is the important step in the introduction of the plant material. That is the quarantine. ओके, नाहीतर काय होऊन जाईल, समजा ही जर स्टेप जर झाली नाही व्यवस्थित, तर दॅट इज इन द पास्ट, that is the plant introduction were carried out in a scattered and unscientific manner, and due to which the different types of the insect, pest and diseases along with that introduced the plant material get introduced in our country. Okay, just to avoid this, just to avoid this, the quarantine is the most important step in the plant introduction. Okay, then the cataloging. Okay, the third step is cataloging. Okay, what is meant by cataloging? After the quarantine, after issuing the phytosanitary certificate, a accession number is given to the new introduced material. Okay, and the information regarding the name of the species and variety, then place of origin, adaptation, and its various features are also recorded. Okay, all important information regarding the name of the place of origin, adaptation, and the various features are also recorded. Okay, then the cataloging of germplasm collections is published by the gene bank. The introduced materials, these are of three types and given a prefix here. The capital EC, that means it is denoting the exotic collection, then IC, indigenous collection, and IW, indigenous wild plant. Okay, that process it is called as the cataloging. That is after the issuing the phytosanitary certificate for the introduced plant material, all the necessary information it is given on the leaflet. All the necessary information means the information regarding the name of the species and variety, place of origin, adaptation, and the various features of the plant material. Okay, this process is called as the cataloging. And after cataloging, the uh, evaluation is carried out. Evaluation, the performance, the performance of that introduced plant material, it is evaluated at the different substations. Okay, or on the different research farms, the introduced plant material, these are evaluated. That is for the particular character for which that plant material is introduced in our country. Okay, for that particular characters, these are evaluated. Okay, and generally the evaluation it is done under the different environmental condition. Why it is carried out in the different locations and in different environmental condition? Just to check the acclimatization process. Acclimatization means the adjustment or the adaptation of a plant or group of plant to the new environmental condition. Okay, because we are introducing the plant from the other country which is having completely different environmental conditions. That's why whether the introduced plant material get adjusted or get acclimatized to the new environmental climatic conditions, the evaluation is carried out. ओके, इव्हॅल्युएशन म्हणजे काय, तर जे मटेरियल आपण मागवलेलं आहे ते आपल्या एन्व्हायरमेंटल कंडिशन मध्ये ते जगू शकतं का नाही, ॲक्लिमटाईज होऊ शकतं का, ऍडजस्ट होऊ शकतं का नाही, हे ह्या इव्हॅल्युएशनच्या स्टेपमध्ये पाहिलं जातं. Okay, the evaluation, the performance of the introduced plant material, it is introduced at the different substations. Okay, these substations are situated in the different environmental conditions. This process it mainly to evaluate the performance or to mainly to evaluate the adjustment or acclimatization of the plant material to the new environmental conditions. Okay, and lastly, the multiplication and distribution. If the plant material which is introduced, it is found to be promising, these are propagated or multiplied, and then these are released as varieties after necessary trials. Okay, that is, we called it as a multiplication and the distribution. Okay, these are handed over to the workers, or these are handed over to the research institution, and then the desired their these are then distributed to the institutes. Okay, this is, we called it as a multiplication and distribution. Okay, that is how the plant material, it is transported or it is introduced from the other country. Okay, the process, it takes place in the several steps. The first one is the procurement of germplasm, second one quarantine, then third one cataloging, then fourth one evaluation, and the last one the multiplication and testing. Okay, that is how the process of plant introduction is carried out. Okay, then merits and the demerits of the plant introduction. Okay, the different first of all, we are discussing the merits of the plant introduction. Okay, in the theory examination, the question may be asked on give and detail account on domestication, plant introduction and acclimatization. Then also you have to mention the merits and the demerits of the process. Okay, the first of all, we are discussing here the merits, or we can say the advantages of the plant introduction. Advantages, the first one, it provides entirely new crop to the place. Okay, this is the first advantage of plant introduction. It provides entirely new crop plant to the place. Then second one, the superior varieties may be originated directly or after selection or the hybridization. Okay, you can introduce the superior crop variety from the other country, or the variety which is introduced from the other country, it is then crossed in the hybridization method, so that the superior characters of that variety get incorporated into the local variety, and that is how you can release the new improved variety. Okay, that's why the superior varieties may be originated directly or after selection or hybridization. म्हणजे जी व्हरायटी आपण मागवलेली आहे ती डायरेक्टली सुपिरियर व्हरायटी म्हणून आपण यूज करू शकतो, किंवा त्याच्यामध्ये सिलेक्शननं किंवा हायब्रिडायझेशन मेथडनं ती व्हरायटी इम्प्रूव्ह करून आपण नवीन व्हरायटी रिलीज करू शकतो. Okay, what is meant by selection and what is meant by hybridization, we will discuss in later lectures. Okay, then the germplasm collection, maintenance and the protection of genetic variability. Okay, maintenance and the protection of genetic variability. Okay, that is also the advantage of the plant introduction. Then the next one, it is the most quick and economical method of crop improvement when the introduced material can be used directly. Okay, it is the most quick and economical method of crop improvement. When we compare this method with the other method, then it is the most quick and economical method of crop improvement when introduced plant material can be used directly. Okay, then the next one, the introduction of some varieties to the newer areas may protect them from the some diseases. Okay, introduction of some varieties to the newer areas may protect them from the certain diseases. For example, in America, the coffee plant, it was attacked by the certain type of the disease. That disease was called as the leaf rust disease, and that's why the coffee plants in the America was get destroyed, and that's why they introduced the coffee plant into the Sri Lanka. Okay, that is the classical example when the certain variety it is attacked by the particular type of the insect, pest or diseases in one country, then that plant material it is introduced in other country to preserve that crop variety. ओके, लक्षात आलं. समजा आपल्या कंट्रीमध्ये एखादं क्रॉप व्हरायटी आहे आणि त्याच्यावरती सारखा काहीतरी डिसीज पडतोय किंवा त्याच्यावरती इन्सेक्ट आणि पेस्टचा अटॅक होतोय, तर त्याला प्रोटेक्ट करण्यासाठी सगळ्यात सोपी फास्ट मेथड काय आहे, तर सरळ ते प्लांट दुसऱ्या कंट्रीमध्ये पाठवून त्याचं प्रिझर्वेशन करणं. ओके, द इंट्रोडक्शन ऑफ some varieties to the newer areas may protect them from some diseases. Okay, these are the merits or the advantages of the plant introduction. Then here the demerits. Demerits, demerits just we have discussed. That is, in the past, the plant introduction was in unscientific and scattered manner, and that's why, along with these plant introductions, along with the introduction of these plant material, different types of the insect, pest, and diseases get introduced in our country. But today it is not possible, as there are very strict laws of the plant protection. Okay, there are very strict plant protection law there. Therefore it is very rare to it is very rare to introduce the plant material which is contaminated with the insect, pest or the diseases, because at the entry level these are quarantined, these are kept separately. Okay, then these are treated with the certain type of the chemical to eliminate the insect, pest and the diseases. Okay, and later on it is then distributed to the plant breeders. Okay, that's why, as nowadays the plant protection laws are strictly followed, it is very, it becomes very difficult to nowadays. Why? The no new diseases or insect or the pest, these are introduced along with the plant material. These examples, these disadvantages or the introduction of the different types of the diseases, insect and the pest, these happened in the past. Okay, for example, the weeds like the अर्जिमोन मॅक्सिकाना, ज्याला आपण पिवळी विलायती म्हणतो. ओके, ठीक आहे. The weeds like अर्जिमोन मॅक्सिकाना, then इकॉर्निया, ओके, वॉटर स्पिनॅच, देन लँटेना कॅमेरा, असे खूप मल्टी कलर्ड छोटे छोटे फुलं येत असतात बघा ते. ठीक आहे, खूप ठिकाणी दिसतं ते. ओके, द वीड्स लाईक अर्जिमोन मॅक्सिकाना, देन आयकॉर्निया, लँट लँटेना कॅमेरा have been introduced from the other countries. Okay, then different types of the fungal diseases like lead blight of potato, flat smut of wheat, coffee rust, bunchy top of banana have been introduced in India along with the plant materials. Okay, these different types of the fungal diseases, these were not found in India, but these were introduced in India in the past along with the plant material. The fungal diseases like late blight of potato, flat smut of wheat, coffee rust, bunchy top of banana, these have been introduced in India along with the plant materials. Okay, then many insect pests like the potato tuber moth, woolly aphids of apple were introduced in India. Okay, potato tuber moth and woolly aphids of the apple, these were introduced in India. Okay, these are the disadvantages. Okay, but these disadvantages generally when the plant protection law was not strictly practiced, but nowadays it is very difficult to get introduced the different types of insect, pest or diseases in India, as these laws are very strictly followed and these are strictly practiced. ओके, हे जे इंट्रोडक्शन झालेले आहेत वेगवेगळ्या इन्सेक्ट, पेस्ट अँड डिसिजेसचे, हे काय पहिल्यांदा जेव्हा NBPGR नव्हतं, त्याच्या अगोदर जेव्हा स्कॅटर्ड मॅनरमध्ये प्लांट इंट्रोडक्शन्स होत होते तेव्हा झालेले आहेत. पण आता काय, जवळपास NBPGRची एस्टॅब्लिशमेंट झाल्यापासून, प्लांट आणि प्लांट प्रोटेक्शन ऍक्ट आल्यापासून काय आहे, तर ही प्रोसेस एकदम स्ट्रिक्टली मॉनिटर केली जाते. त्याच्यामुळे आता शक्यतो हे डिसएडव्हान्टेजेस प्लांट इंट्रोडक्शनचे शक्यतो दिसत नाहीत किंवा खूप रेअरली दिसतात. ओके, दीज आर द डिमेरिट्स. ओके, म्हणजे आता तुम्ही बघितलंच असेल की कोरोना आल्यानंतर काय, तर सगळ्यात पहिल्यांदा जे एअरपोर्ट होते, एअरपोर्ट जिथून आले लोक, तिथून हा सगळीकडे, दुसऱ्या देशातून जे लोक आले तिथून हा सगळीकडे पसरला. ठीक आहे, म्हणजे एअरपोर्टवरती जर समजा त्यांचं फ्युमिगेशन केलं असतं किंवा त्यांना क्वारंटाईन केलं असतं तर हे काय, तर एवढा वाढला नसता. सेम इथं आहे, प्लांट मटेरियल काय केले जातात, तिथं क्वारंटाईन ठेवले जातात आणि त्यांचं फ्युमिगेशन वगैरे करून मगच ते प्लांट मटेरियलला प्रोव्हाइड केले जातात. ओके, these are the advantages and the demerits of the plant introduction. Then next one, acclimatization. Okay, we have discussed the plant introduction in detail, but we have not discussed very much regarding the acclimatization. What is mean by acclimatization? Just we have discussed acclimatization. It follows the plant introduction. Okay, it follows the plant introduction. Acclimatization means the ability of crop to become adapted to the new climate is termed as the acclimatization. Okay, the ability of crop to become adapted to the new climate is termed as the acclimatization. Okay, the plant material, the plant introduction means what? The plant material, it is introduced from one region to the another region having different environmental condition. Okay, then another important thing, whether when the plant material it is introduced in the different environmental condition, whether this plant get adjusted or get acclimatized or get adapted to the new environmental condition, that process is called as the acclimatization. Okay, acclimatization, it follows the plant introduction. The ability of crop to become adapted to the new climate is termed as the acclimatization. Okay, then another important thing is that the acclimatization is determined by the four hereditary factors. Okay, म्हणजे प्लांट मटेरियल हे त्या नवीन एन्व्हायरमेंटल कंडिशन्सला ऍडजस्ट होतात का, अडॅप्ट होतात का, हे कोण डिसाईड करतं? वेगवेगळे फॅक्टर्स. फर्स्ट वन इज द मोड ऑफ पॉलिनेशन. Why the mode of pollination? Because it is a well known fact that the cross pollinated crops, mode of pollination, the cross pollinated crops get more easily adapted to the wider environmental condition when these are compared with the self pollinated crops. ओके, क्रॉस पॉलिनेटेड क्रॉप जर असतील तर हे वेगवेगळ्या एन्व्हायरमेंटल कंडिशनला लवकर अडॅप्ट होतात सेल्फ पॉलिनेटेड क्रॉपच्या कंपॅरिझन मध्ये. ओके, द क्रॉस पॉलिनेटेड क्रॉप्स आर इझिली अँड मोर रॅपिडली acclimatized than the self pollinated crops. Okay, this is because in the cross pollinated crops there are frequent cross pollinations giving rise to the large number of genetic recombinations. Okay, due to the cross pollination the large number of genetic recombination happens, and out of which at least some of the genetic recombinations get adapted to the new environment. Okay, that is how the cross pollinated crops, these are having more adaptive, these get easily and rapidly adapted to the wider environmental conditions when these are compared with the self pollinated crop. Okay, because in the cross pollinated crops, due to the cross pollination, various genetic recombinations takes place, and some of the genetic recombinations may get adapted to the new climatic condition. Okay, otherwise, or you can just remember that the crop which is having the more genetic variation get suited to the व्हरायटी ऑफ एन्व्हायरमेंटल कंडिशन्स. ज्या प्लांटमध्ये जेनेटिक व्हेरिएशन जास्त असतं असे प्लांट्स हे वेगवेगळ्या एन्व्हायरमेंटल कंडिशनला लवकर सूट होत असतात. ओके, आणि जर जेनेटिक व्हेरिएशन कमी असेल तर अशा प्लांटला नवीन एन्व्हायरमेंटल कंडिशनला ऍडजस्ट होण्यासाठी खूप वेळ लागतो किंवा ते ऍडजस्ट होऊ. Okay, that is how the mode of pollination, it is an important factor in the acclimatization. Cross pollinated crops get easily and more rapidly acclimatized to the different environmental conditions. or to the new climatic conditions. Then the range variability within the crop. Just we have discussed, the larger the variation, the crop will be get adapted or acclimatized easily to the new environmental condition. Range of variability within the crop, जेवढं जेनेटिक व्हेरिएशन त्या प्लांट मध्ये जास्त असेल तेवढं ते क्रॉप नवीन एन्व्हायरमेंटल कंडिशनला अडॅप्ट होतं, acclimatize होतं. Then longevity of the crop, and lastly its susceptibility to the mutation. Okay, susceptibility to the mutations means what? The sudden heritable changes, these are called as the okay, sudden heritable changes, these are called as the mutation. Okay, higher the mutations, easier and rapid is the adaptations. Okay, म्हणजे जेवढे म्युटेशन्स जास्त असतील, जेवढे हेरिटेबल चेंजेस जास्त होतील, तेवढं ते क्रॉप नवीन एन्व्हायरमेंटल कंडिशन लवकर ऍडजस्ट होतं. Okay, its susceptibility to the mutations, higher the mutations, easier and rapid is the adaptations. Okay, higher the mutations, easier and rapid is the adaptation. Okay, then another important thing, these mutations are very frequent, these are very common in the cross fertilized or the cross pollinated crop than that of the self pollinated crop. Okay, and that's why here also we can see the cross pollinated crops, these are easily acclimatized than the self pollinated crops. Okay, that is how the acclimatization process takes place. Acclimatization, it is nothing but ability of crop to become adapted to the new climatic condition is termed as the acclimatization. In the plant introduction, the plant material is introduced from one locality to the another locality having the different environmental condition. Okay, after plant introduction, the ability of that plant or group of plants to become adjusted to become to the new environmental condition is called as the acclimatization. Acclimatization, it is determined by four hereditary factors, namely mode of pollination, range of variability within the crop, longevity of the crop, and lastly its susceptibility to the mutation. Okay, this is all about our first method of crop improvement. The first method of crop improvement we have discussed is the domestication, plant introduction, and acclimatization. Okay, then just three methods are remaining. The second one is the selection, third one is the hybridization, and the last one is the mutation breeding.